Hi, welcome to Jay and Bean's Excellent Adventures. I'm Sabina, or Beans, and today I'm unpacking everything I carried on our 500-mile walk across Spain. This is the companion video to Jay's packing video, but this time we're looking at my pack, what worked, what didn't, and what I would do differently. I wasn't trying to be completely ultralight or minimalist, but I did have one main goal. I wanted to keep my backpack at or around 10% of my body weight, not including water. Since we were carrying everything in our packs the entire way and not shipping our bags ahead, I knew every pound was something I'd feel every single day. Our Camino was in September and October, so this is a shoulder season packing list. Warm days, cold mornings, rain, laundry every day, and a lot of walking. We'll include links in the description for the gear I talk about, along with our Amazon storefront. Some of those things may be affiliate links, which means if you use them, we may earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. We bought all of the gear ourselves, and as always, we'll tell you exactly what worked for us and what we would change the next time. We'll start with what hikers usually call the big three: your backpack, your shoes, and your sleep system. For us, the Camino big three were things that would affect us every single day. For my backpack, I spent a lot of time at REI trying on different backpacks and getting fit right. I know it's tempting just to order something online and hope for the best, but when you're carrying it for 500 miles, fit matters. What works great for one person may be miserable for someone else, especially depending on the torso length, your hip fit, shoulder straps, and how the weight carries. And because we were not shipping our bags ahead, I wanted a pack that was comfortable enough to carry every day, but not so big that I'd be tempted to overpack. I might be a just-in-case packer sometimes, so I really loved how much fit into this backpack without being stuffed and still on target for my 10% of my body weight. I really liked the side pockets right here. They're expandable, and they're really good for carrying banana pistols. I was able to fit a lot into the front pocket, the side pockets, and I really liked these front pockets for everyday items such as your little hat, your gloves, chapstick, sunscreen, all of that kind of stuff. Even though this backpack worked really great for me, I can't stress enough going to a store and getting fitted for your own backpack. Like I said earlier, I tried on many backpacks in REI. There was one I really wanted it to work. It was so pretty, but in the long run, it just didn't feel as comfortable as this one. So sometimes you just can't really judge a book by its cover. Go try that backpack on. Another thing that we had was our water system. The one I carry was a 1.5 liter bladder that just slips right into the back of your pack like this. We also carried a separate small water bottle, so it's a little handy in case you ran out. But honestly, there was lots of places along the Camino to get water. It really wasn't an issue like I thought it might have been. The guidebooks are really great about telling you where there are water stations for you. I also had a duck's back for this, for the rain that just comes out of this, and it covers your backpack in the event of inclement weather. My original plan was to wear this on top of my backpack and then my raincoat, but when I got to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, I saw some of the ponchos, and I really thought that'd be a better fit for me. It had a hood, had longer arms, it covered my pack, and it was longer. So I really liked that. So I did buy one once I got there. One of the other items that I considered part of my backpack is this REI fanny pack that I got. I wore this every day on the Camino and every evening when we went out to dinner. It's very lightweight, has lots of great pockets, and I kept my money, my real passport, and my Camino passport in here, along with my camera and other goods that I'll go over later. Now on to shoes. Your feet are basically your transportation on the Camino, so this is one of the most important decisions. I wore the Ultra Temp 5s. I'd walked over 100K before in training, And I also had heel cups because I was coming off of plantar fasciitis. So I really liked these. The only downside is they did not make the whole 500 miles in one piece. They broke down, and they broke down terribly. They were in shreds by the time I ceremoniously threw them away at the end of the Camino. So this time, I actually bought 2 new pairs. I'm going to train a little bit in one and then alternate a little just right before the Camino and bring the second pair with me. The other shoes I brought were Chacos. I wore these in the evenings and then in the showers. I highly recommend bringing some kind of shower shoe. I didn't want to bring 2 pairs, one for going out and one for the shower. So these worked out really well. The only downside was when I wore them at night, the canvas was still wet. And when we went in October, it was cool. So my feet were a little cold. And the other side to Chacos is while they are comfortable, they are a little weighty. I have purchased these Zero shoes, so I'm going to try these on our next Camino. They, again, have canvas, so I'm probably going to have the same issue, obviously, being wet. But I do like how lightweight they are. Then there's our sleep system. On the Camino, you may be sleeping in albergues, hotels, hostels, shared rooms, private rooms, and everything in between. So for me, sleep wasn't just about having a liner or something warm enough. It was also about defending myself from snoring. I wonder who snores. Anyway, my anti-snoring defense strategy ended up being a combination of Mack's earplugs, which I just carried in a small container like this instead of the whole thing because they last, and a Music Cozy headband, which has Bluetooth. I didn't like wearing just this with the Bluetooth in my ears. I felt like sleeping on Bluetooth, kind of, if you have to turn it up, is not good for your hearing. So I used the 2 earplugs and then put this on. So it really blocked out a lot of the sound. Of course, it wasn't 100% perfect, but a lot of the sound was blocked out. So I didn't have very much trouble with that. Really definitely helped me survive the shared sleeping situation. I had a silk sleeping bag liner, and I did treat it with an insect repellent in which we treated with the Permethrin before we left. This was great. I used a travel blanket for warmth at night. And then I also brought a pillow, which I love for camping, but it did me no use. I didn't ever use it. And for my sleeping system organization, I used a dry bag to keep everything that I was going to take into my bunk. So once we got to the albergue, made my bed, I laid out my liner in my blanket, and then I had everything else in my bag. I had my adapter, my cords for anything I needed to charge. I had my headband, my earplugs, and I did put my pajamas in here, which I'll cover later. Up next is clothing. And this is one of those sections where small decisions can make a very big difference. On the Camino, you're not necessarily packing outfits as much as you're packing a system. Everything needs to be comfortable for long walking days, easy to layer, and quick drying to wash and dry overnight. I wore 1 set of hiking clothes during the day, and then when we reached our accommodations, I showered and then put on the next day's hiking clothes. Or sometimes I put on a dress to go out. I washed that day's hiking clothes and let them dry overnight and packed them back up in the morning. The weather can change rapidly from early morning to the afternoon, so layering is really the key. I always wore a shirt, which these are REI shirts. I like them. I had 2 of them. They were comfortable. The one thing I didn't like is I felt that they kind of had an odor. Even after washing. We hand washed every day, and then on occasion we were able to wash in a washer and a dryer, and I still felt like it had a little bit of an odor. So for our next Camino, I will be investing in merino wool or something similar that doesn't retain odor. I also wore this REI, it's not REI, I'm sorry, this is Smart Wool. It is just a lightweight pullover, long sleeves, hooded. We got this at the REI supply store, which is a place where if you have an REI membership and you return something, they can resell it with a tag telling you exactly what was wrong. We bought this with just a couple holes in it. It wasn't bad at all. I wore this for 500 miles, and the one hole is getting big, but really overall it's done pretty good for 500 miles because I did wear it every single day. So I can't recommend Smart Wool enough. Smart Wool or Merino wool. As far as bottoms go, I alternated between a walking skirt, which I absolutely love. I wear a lot of running skirts at home. I found it comfortable, lightweight, and of course, I love the pockets, and it has great big pockets. This, on the other days, I wore pants, REI pants. We have links in the description for pants that I got from REI. Really like those. Easy to wear, washable, dry easy. Again, with the morning sometimes being cold, I did layer. If I was wearing the skirt, sometimes I would wear my pajama bottoms, which sounds kind of crazy, underneath my skirt, and then I can just whip them off later. These are Columbia. I think they're called Omni Heat. It's a set. You can buy them separately, but I bought it as a set. It's a top and a bottom. It has the little warming kind of stuff inside. I loved these. I wore them to bed every night. If it was cold out, I could put this on like just a black shirt. I did bring a little REI dress, and I could put this on as leggings underneath, and I also wore them underneath my skirt if it got cold. The dress I brought was just a little REI pullover dress. Our time of year, I only wore it a handful of times because it didn't get chilly in the evening. So if you're going in June, July, or August, it might be better to bring something like that. If we go in that time frame again, I'm not sure that I'll pack it again. On colder mornings, I did wear my black rain jacket over. That was protection from the temperature and from the wind. Last minute, I decided to throw a little gloves and hat in my bag. I am so thankful I did. I wore this little Smart Wool beanie lots of mornings. And these dollar store gloves, Dollar Tree gloves, which I'm going to bring a little better pair next time, knowing that I will actually use them. For my hat, did not love it. It was okay. It flopped a lot. It didn't stay on. I did get it on Amazon, not including the link. So if you have any suggestions for a great hat, please put that in the comments. I've been on the search for a year now, and I still haven't found something I really like. As far as underwear and bras, I brought 2 bras, one of which I love. It's the REI bralette, and it doesn't have any padding, and it dries. It's the Smart Wool again. Love it, love it, love it. I did buy one from Booty Bra. It was very comfortable, but it did not dry quickly overnight. So it took a day or two to dry, which is not convenient when you need to have it all dry in the morning to pack your items. The underwear I brought last time, let's just say my underwear were not exactly Camino approved in the wedgie department. And I brought 4 pairs and lost one. How does that happen? Anyway, I am going to try Smart Wool underwear for the next Camino. So I'm not sure. If you've used these, let me know what you think about these. I recommend a buff. You can wear it as a neck and for your hair. It's great. I also brought a scarf just to wear in the evening with my dress. I did use it every night. As far as socks goes, I used silk liners, which were fantastic, underneath my alpaca socks. The only downside is I had to sew holes in the toes of the silk liners and of the alpaca socks. So note to self, bring a sewing kit so you don't have to borrow one. The next section I want to cover is personal care. And for me, that included toiletry items, first aid and foot care, and potty packs. The toiletries that I brought were really basic. Shampoo bar that doubled as soap for the shower and for hand washing your laundry, a conditioning bar, disposable razor, a mirror brush combo that I got on Amazon, really inexpensive, I brought travel deodorant, which was very small, but I ran out pretty quickly, so I had to buy one. I only saw roll-on deodorants in Spain. There might be other kind, but if you don't like roll-on, make sure you bring enough. I brought 0 hair products and makeup. For me, it wasn't worth the wait. I did bring contacts, sunglasses, glasses, facial moisturizer, tinted all good sunscreen for my face and my ears. I used the other kind, which is just the non-tinted for my hands and my neck. I brought a couple hair ties, toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, and a microfiber towel. It's not really big, but I found that it was sufficient enough for what I needed for the showers. I've looked for things that are a little smaller, more lightweight, and I really haven't found anything. So I got this on Amazon. I was very happy with it. On the Camino, foot care is so important. Happy feet can make or break your day. I ended up loving lamb's wool. I ordered this on Amazon. It was a 2-pack. It's very lightweight. You can pull it apart. It was very simple, lightweight, easy to use. It does not hold odor and you can reuse it. It's really useful when I felt a hot spot starting or needed a little extra cushioning. The other item that I got was Compeed, which I haven't found in the United States, but we did buy some of this over there for your blisters. It's amazing. And ladies, I'm gonna get real here. I did lose a toenail, actually 2. It's really sad. I clipped my toenails a few days before I left, and the first day when we were going to Roncesvalles, my toes were hitting my shoe and I didn't stop soon enough to address it, and it ended up getting a blister underneath my toenail. Ew. So for practical purposes, make sure you clip your toenails right before your trip and bring a pair with you, and really note to self, if you feel a hot spot or anything happening in your shoes, stop immediately and take care of it. Don't ignore it. As far as first aid, I did not carry a huge medical kit. We brought just enough of the common things like pain reliever, stomach medicine, allergy medicine, Band-Aids, that kind of stuff to get us through a day or two until we can get to the pharmacy to pick something up. And it all fit into just a little Ziploc bag like this. One of the really nice surprises on the Camino, there were pharmacies along the way in almost each town that we passed through. And I can't tell you how incredibly helpful they were. So for us, it made sense to carry small practical first aid instead of packing for every possible emergency. As a side note, I got tendonitis in my right foot and the pharmacist was extremely helpful. She suggested medication and a brace, both of which really helped. When you think of a pharmacy in Spain, it's a little different than what you would think of here in the United States. They're more kind of a medical place that you can go for advice and supplies. I like to call this my little potty pack because sometimes there just isn't a bathroom when you need one. I can say one of the most disappointing things that I saw on the Camino was the amount of toilet paper left behind. You really could tell where the ladies' room was. And it's really so simple to pack your own potty pack. In a Ziploc bag every day, I just had toilet paper, a little wet wipe, and a doggy bag to tie it all in and pack it out with me. And of course, a little hand sanitizer to clean up after yourself. This next section is comfort and support, or what I like to call the nice to have items. These things, they may not be absolutely essential, but they can make your Camino more comfortable, more organized, or just a little more enjoyable. I brought a small 20-page journal and it ended up being one of my favorite things that I carried. First, I thought I'd mostly use it to keep track of where we stayed, how far we walked, the little details from each day, but it really became more than that. It helped me remember how I was feeling, the hard days, the funny moments, the people that we met, the places that surprised me, and the little things I probably would have forgotten. When you're walking every day, the towns and miles can start to blur together. Having a journal really gave me a way to slow down for a few minutes every afternoon and capture the experience while I was still in it. As I said earlier, one of the things I would have liked to have added was a sewing kit. You never know when you're going to get a hole in your sock or something, so that's highly recommended. One of the things that I did not bring last time that I did purchase, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, is a head net for the flies. There were a couple areas that they were very intense, so this might have been good. I did put on my sunglasses and they kind of bounced off my sunglasses, but they were getting in my eyes and that was pretty gross. One of the things you're going to want to bring is a book on the Camino. You don't have to, but I find it very convenient. Jay and I had 2 separate books. I had this one and Jay had the Brierly book. They are a little different as far as stages and information, so it's nice to mix it up. Another thing I brought that I loved was just this little towel that clips onto your pack, and you can use it to wipe your glasses, your knife, whatever you need. Sweat off your brow if you so decide. We did bring cups. Not so sure that I would bring this again. One nice thing that this was for the wine fountain, which we loved. But that was a fun little thing. We thought maybe we'd use it more on the trail with a bottle of wine in our pack, but we never did that. Definitely not a necessary thing, but an air tag is always a good idea. Just stick it inside of your pack. That way, if you leave it at your albergue and you go out for dinner, you can see that it's still at your albergue. And we did bring headlamps. You can use your phone. The only downside is if you're using hiking poles and it's obviously dark, using your phone can be challenging. So a headlamp is recommended. We also brought laundry sheets. I found these at the Dollar Tree. I think there's 15 in here. You just throw it in with your laundry. When we found a washer, which was fantastic because we did try and wash our clothes every few days in a washer. I also brought some clothespins just in case there weren't enough. Some of the albergues get pretty busy with the washing and drying, and sometimes you're kind of angling or trying to find a place for your things. So sometimes it's nice to have some of your own safety pins or clothespins. Speaking of safety pins, I would just bring a little bit like this because, for example, if your socks, your underwear didn't dry overnight, you can just safety pin it to the outside of your pack and it's secure to your bag. And then by the time you get to your next destination, it'll hopefully be dry. Another item is a spork. We use this quite a bit on the Camino. Packed a lot of lunches, so it was very convenient to scoop, cut, and eat. So there's a little serrated edge there, so you can use it as just a little tiny knife. Definitely not necessary, but I like to carry Ziploc bags. I brought one of each size and then a grocery store bag for emergencies. Walking the Camino, I highly recommend getting yourself some hiking poles. These are just the REI brand poles. They're expandable. We did have the tips that you can take off. This is for more city walking and this is more terrain walking. We loved them and use them every day. Last up is electronics and camera gear. My electronics were pretty basic, things I needed to stay connected, charged, and organized along the way. Phone, which I'm filming with now. On the Camino, your phone becomes your camera, your map, translator, reservation tool, weather checker, and connection back home. So it is important that you have a good phone. Don't forget your charging cord. I had an adapter. This is an Anchor, which has multiple ports at the bottom I really liked. I did bring an Anchor battery charger. I did keep that handy. I did a lot of filming, so during the day, my battery would die and I would just keep it in my fanny pack. The other thing I brought was a DJI Action 4, which I did some filming with that. And the surprising thing, I did bring some headphones, but I never used them. I just loved the noise on the journey and didn't listen to anything but Jay talking, the lovely sound of his voice. So that's everything I carried on our 500-mile Camino across Spain. My full backpack weight was right around 13 pounds, not including water, which kept me close to my goal of staying around 10% of my body weight. I wasn't trying to be completely ultralight, but I did want to be intentional about what I carried because we had it on our backs every day. As I mentioned earlier, we will include links in the description for the gear we can still find, including our Amazon storefront. If you've walked the Camino or you're planning one, let us know in the comments what worked for you, what you would have left behind, what you were really glad you carried. Very curious to know what worked for all of you. Thank you so much for watching. And if this video was helpful, we'd love for you to like the video, subscribe, and follow along for more Camino travel and excellent adventures. And as always, be excellent to each other.